Hey guys, so if you're new to meditation or visualization, I'll teach you what I've used. I'll always teach something that I've used myself, and it's visualization. So I'll give you a quick story on how I've used it and I'm currently using it. Obviously, the methods kind of changed as I've evolved over years, but 2016, how long ago is that? 2015, 2016, about 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. 10 years ago, I used a method where I had a whole heap of injuries, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I come across Tony Robbins' work, and did a lot of studying because I had a lot of injuries. What I ended up doing was I used that time to study. I studied things to do with health, mindset, a lot of stuff in personal development. And one guy that I started off learning from was Tony Robbins, where I'd go to his seminars, involved in a lot of his courses, and these cost like a few $1,000s. And at the time, how old was I? About 19. But injuries started when I was about 15, and then every year from there until I was about 19. Yeah, about 19. Where I know about 20, just after 20. So around when I was 21, I had injuries all the way to just after I was 21. And there was one thing I changed, and obviously after all the injuries, I wanted something different, and I've always heard if you want something different, you've got to do something different. So what I ended up doing was, the first thing I needed to do was lose weight, and I ended up losing, I think, 8 kilos in under 12 weeks. The only thing I focused on was my nutrition part. Obviously, because I had a knee injury at the time, and I couldn't, run. So I had to change everything to fit that, and that's how I realized that nutrition had a lot to do with if you're trying to drop body weight or body fat. Nutrition is pretty much 80% of it because I've done it. The second thing I did was obviously meditation, which what this video is about. Meditation, what I did every morning and every night was I had my goals in front of me. So at the time I was at Manly. No club wanted me after I was at Para. After Para I was there for from when I was about 14. Yeah, when I was about 14 all the way to about 20. Yeah, till about 20. And I had played all my juniors through there, played under 20s at the time called Toyota Cup. Then played, then I was signed 2 years with NRL. And a lot went on then, but I'll keep that for a different story. Got to about when I was after Para, no team wanted me. Then I was at Manly, and when I was at Manly, I come in as a part-timer. So when you're in the NRL, you have the NRL squad, and it was a top 30, and then they had development players, and then after the development players, it was reserve grade, and you could call that part-time. And I come in as a part-time player, and I just had a look at all these players that are playing NRL, and even the guys that were in front of me, in the sequence that it should go. In reality, I just had a strong belief if I did the work, I know for a fact that I can play NRL, and it would be that year. And this was 2016. when I was at Manly, and it didn't look like it at all, because obviously I remember my manager at the time kept saying, there's no way you'll be playing, because they had their top 30. They only field 17. Then they have to go through all those players that are outside that 17, and then they have to go through the development players, and then you're pretty much last pick. And yeah, what ended up happening was, after doing a lot of Tony Robbins work, it built me up to this moment at that time, and I just followed everything that was told. Write down your goals, see it and feel it, and I guess mentally rehearse it. So what I did was, I'd had the pre-season with them. I had pre-season with Manly, obviously as a part-time, but I didn't work, because I told myself if I wanted to compete with the best, I had to do more than what the part-timers were currently doing. So what I'd do was, I wouldn't go to work, and I'd purely base everything off as a I changed my identity. I seen myself as a full-timer, and I knew I had to do a bit more than what everyone else was doing if I wanted this position. And visualization was one of them, nutrition was one of them, recovery was one of them. And what I ended up doing was, I just ended up turning up to these NRL training sessions, and I just told them, oh, I can come in, and I wasn't paid for any of it, not paid for this whole preseason. And you have guys that are, I guess, getting paid $1 million a year, a few hundred a year, and I've come in just with the belief that I can do whatever I put myself and my mind to. And I remember doing that pre-season, training with everyone, and I knew when I was training with them, I just had a feeling. It was just a knowing that I will play NRL. And fast forward that pre-season, we got to round one. I was still using this visualization technique, and the visualization technique was, every morning I'd review my goals, and I'd almost count it down. So I had the draw of the NRL, and then I had a draw of the reserve grade games. So what I'd do is, I'd write down in my goal, I will be playing by this date. So, or this round. And I think at the time I said to myself, I'll play 6 or 7 games, and then I'll play NRL. That was the date that I put onto that goal, that I'll play NRL by. So I'd what I'd do was, like, I'd have a look at the field that they would be playing at that round. If that was my goal, I'd look at that date, and then it'd say what field they'd be playing on. So what I'd do in the mornings and at night would be, I'd visualize myself at that field where that round was on, and I'd visualize myself seeing my parents, seeing my family there supporting me after I've just debuted. And yeah, weeks went on. First couple of weeks went on, and I'd just rub out, like, I'd cross out the dates, or the games that have already passed, and then I'd just tell myself, well, I've got this many more games before I'd make my debut. So kept going, and every week, I think it got to week 5 or week 6. Usually what happens is, you get called in to go into the NRL team video, and it's only that 17 that play that week, and then just a few guys on the fringes, in case anything happens, will go into that room. And I remember each week we'd separate. They'd go do their video, the reserves would go, which I was always in, and then we'd come back, and then we'd oppose each other before, which would be almost a captain's run before they go on and play their game, and we go play our game, and it's usually at a different field. And we'd get to, I think it was round 5 or round 6, I started getting called into the rooms. So they'd come in and then they'd say, this person, you'd be in the room. And then at the time, I think it was Chad Randall calls me and goes, oh, Jimmy, you'll be coming in with us. And then I just remember looking around like, wow, it's happening. That was my thought. It's happening. And I just had to look at the other boys' faces like, it's happening. Or like, they were like, oh, pretty confused. Like, how am I getting caught in? Because it doesn't make sense. They have to go through the, I guess, the rules before they can pick outside that. Obviously, went into that room, sat there, looked up onto the board, and my name was up on the board. So he had the 17 that were playing NRL that week, and then there was my position. So it was the guy that was already playing in that position / my name next to him. So they hadn't made a decision yet who was playing that week. And I remember just sitting there in awe of what's actually happening, and I didn't even know how to feel about it. But I remember after that was done, I went into the car and then I just called my mum and like, I think I'm gonna be playing NRL soon. And I remember going home telling my partner that it's happening. Like, I think I'm gonna be playing NRL. So the next couple of weeks ended up, I didn't end up playing that week, but then I think a few things changed in the next couple of weeks, and I still had my goals. So I was still visualizing my goals. All I had to do was, it got to these dates, and all I did was just change the date to like, all right, all I have to do is focus on these games and know that I'll be debuting on this round. And I think it was, I moved the date twice. So the first one was obviously round 7, and then 12, I think, and it didn't happen then. And then it got to round 16, and that I put round 15 to 16 or 17, 16 to 17, I'll debut here. That was the third time I redone my goals, and I visualize this every morning and every night. And got to that point. Fast forward, like when things weren't happening as fast yet, but I was still getting called into the NRL room. So I knew I'm already on the verge of debuting. And it got to round 16, I think it was 15, and nothing had been done yet. And I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just, I think it was just intuition, like maybe I'll just go in and speak to the coach and just see what the plans are for next year, because my thinking's like, oh, if it's not going to happen this year, I'm not on a full-time contract, and my wallet's getting thin because I haven't been working. I've literally dedicated my whole being to just seeing my identity as a full-time NRL player when I hadn't been paid to attend these sessions, and I'm training for free. I'm pretty much working for free. And I guess I got to that point where I said to myself, oh, I'll just go in and ask him what his plans are for next year. Am I part of the plans? So ended up going into the office, and this was round 15, I think. Yeah, round 15. Walked go into the office, and I literally got that nervous. I walked into the door to the office, and there's video on that room, and then the coach's offices are that way. So I walked in, and I just couldn't bring myself to go in there. And what I did was I ended up turning and just going and sitting in the video room. This was a day off for all the players, so no one was in. It was just the coaches in their offices, and then me by myself on the computer, not knowing what I'm actually doing on the computer, because I'm just going in there pretending I'm just going to watch video and analyze my game or whatever. And then as I sat down, Cartwright walks in. Forgot his first name, but we used to call him Cardi. He walks in. He was the assistant coach at the time. Walks in and goes, "Oh, Jimmy, what are you up to?" I'm like, "Oh no, just watching some video on myself." And then he goes, "Oh, Baz wants to speak to you, which was the NRL coach at Manly at that time. And I go, oh yeah, okay. So I got up, walked in, and then he asked me, what are you doing next week? And I said, oh, not much, just work. I lied to him. I literally said that I've got work. And I don't think they knew that I wasn't working, because I put all my, all my eggs in one basket and saw myself as a NRL player. And he said, can you cancel it next week? Because, and just told me that George Tafua was injured. Yeah, he's injured or suspended at the time. And he said, I'll be debuting that next week. And man, I don't know I don't know how to explain the feeling. I just stood there, just speechless. And I was just, oh yeah, thank you. And then walked out, called my parents, told my partner, it's happening. I told you. I messaged my manager. I said, I told you, I'll do it. And he was just saying, yeah, congrats. And then that weekend, the NRL side had a bye, so he asked me to go and play reserve grade that week, and then I'll play NRL the next week. Yeah, the next week. And this was in round 17. This should be round 17 in New Zealand, or no, it was in Perth against New Zealand. And I remember, going into the game that week, just playing reserve grade, because I knew I'll make my debut the week after. I got into that game, played, family came, and wouldn't believe it, I got injured in the last, I think, 5 or 10 minutes, and there was only a few people that knew that I was going to debut. My parents, my partner, and I think, obviously the coaches, they knew I was supposed to debut the week after. And I remember going into the shed, I was injured, I got carried off. 5 to 10 minutes left of that game, and I just sat on the bed when they were checking my knee at the time. And usually, I think usually most people would be like, F this, F that, like, I could have debuted, like, life's over, whatever. But I sat there with peace. My family come in and they were just like, I don't know, they couldn't believe it. They were more shattered for me than I was shattered. But my thing was, I realized it wasn't that I got myself to that position. I had a realization that I had the power to recreate this experience, and not just with footy. I can recreate it with anything else. And this is the first story I guess I'm showing you guys now of how I used it. And there'll be some boys that will probably know about this story. Comment down below, and I'll share the next, the other stories that I actually used this visualization process to get to, when things didn't look like that. There's no way it's going to happen because of whatever. But I guess the lesson there is, if you have something that you want to achieve, there's infinite possibilities, and you don't base it off anyone else. It's all off you. So hope that helps.